everybody, and welcome to Connect for Health, the live wellbeing webinar and podcast brought to you by Cigna Healthcare Middle East and Africa, produced with a little bit of help from Mental. I'm Scott Armstrong, the founder of Mental, a platform that aims to tackle the stigma of mental health. And as always, I'm joined by my fabulous co-host, Maissa Khafajy, the head of Government Affairs and Strategic Communications at Cigna Healthcare Middle East and Africa. Welcome to the podcast. Now, today's session is called Stress Less, Live More, Real Tools to Beat Real Burnout. Now, as the situation here, particularly in the Gulf, shifts day to day, we saw some perhaps good news yesterday. Many people are still living in an extended caretaker mode. Some parents are watching their children go off to school, perhaps not with some concern, while others are still keeping their children at home. Others are still working away from their usual base, whether it be in the office or working from home. Some are carrying extra emotional load for family abroad or colleagues or teams. And that sustained responsibility plus the uncertainty is a classic setup for stress turning into burnout. At the same time, obviously, we do have the prolonged uncertainty. It's now 7 weeks in. This can cause friction at home. I know there has been some in the Armstrong household. Small things can quickly become bigger than they need to be. Patience can run thinner, and people react more quickly and then feel guilty afterwards. I have apologized a couple of times. If you are joining us live, you can take part in the polls as always, and you can submit questions in the Q&A. We want your questions. We love our experts giving you the answers that you want. If you are watching on the YouTube or on the podcast channels, you won't be able to take part in the interactivity. But if you do want to join us live next time, please reach out to Cigna Healthcare for details of membership. So today we're joined by a fabulous expert, Dr. Rita Figueiredo, clinical psychologist and managing director at the Peninsula Psychology. Dr. Rita focuses on adult mental health with a specialization in couples and family therapy. So if there's some tension in your household right now, she's the person we want to listen to. Dr. Rita, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure that I'm here.
And it's a pleasure for us that you're here. So, right, to set the context, as I say, we are sort of 7 weeks in now. What are you noticing right now in terms of stress patterns across the community or in workplaces? What are you seeing in your clinic?
If we think about what happened in the beginning was definitely a stressful situation for all of us, right? Collectively, we were in a very high spike of fear and anxiety, but that kind of shifted over time. And now what we're seeing is the byproduct of this accumulated pressure over time. And this has a hidden high cost for people and families and teams at work and the overall community, of course. So that's this internal pressure and the way that the system is trying to carrying it over time. That's the detrimental part in our mental health right now.
Maissa, I mean, I always like to get your perspective on this. Sort of 7 weeks in, what are you noticing? How does it feel to you right now?
You know, it's really interesting because you both described it exactly as a fallout. And right now, it feels like it's still a limbo state because it's almost like you're still trying to gauge your bearings. For many of us, we still are working from home. There is a sense of, I feel, like isolation from our social networking and community, whether it's work, whether it's friends. People are usually still very much involved with their families. I know that from my side, we actively try, as in like us, my friends, as mothers, even those who aren't mothers, to try to carve time for our mental well being by connecting, by meeting, whether it's going out for coffee, whether it is, talking, one on one or collectively in a group. But it's trying to really acclimatize to now, what's happening when things have more or less settled somewhat. And it's challenging for the people who have children who are in between. So my son is
Yeah.
at home. He has had his exams canceled.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he's whiling his time, whereas my other child has gone back to school. So it's again, it's a very strange situation, I feel. It's not quite we're not quite there yet, and we're still trying to figure it out.
Does that
Yeah.
resonate, Dr. Rita? I mean, with the people that are walking into your clinic, is that sense of limbo, perhaps?
Yeah, and that's a great point you raised there, Maissa. I've been calling this almost state. Like, we are almost in crisis, we are almost out of it, we are almost done, but we are not quite done yet. So, and that's the intensity of this current situation. Um, exactly what Maisa was saying. Like, I try to have moments with my family group, or with my or my friends group, I mean, and my family, and time to kind of wind down the pressure and everything. But at the same time, sometimes, and for some people, that becomes the source of anxiety or stress, or right. So it's it's this limbo that is creating this huge internal pressure that everyone is trying to carry. And for many people, we don't have an outlet to it, which is damaging. And in my therapy room, I've been seeing that.
I sort of feel like I know how Schrodinger's cat feels. You know, it's kind of like where I'm all two things are true, two exactly opposite things are true at the same time, which is we're almost out of it and we're not almost out of it, which can be exhausting. Um, when people come and see you, because obviously we're also talking about stress and burnout today, whether it be inside the family unit, whether it be from work, how do you help people understand when they come to you and say, I'm feeling exhausted. I don't feel myself right now. How do you help them understand whether it's stress, whether it's just the anxiety of the current situation, or whether they are slipping into burnout or something else?
That's a great question. Um, there's a fundamental rule to kind of differentiate between just stress and not just stress, right? This
Mm.
prolonged activation without a clear resolution that we are living now, and burnout. The most important detail or indicator, if you want, is so usually people after stress, we can take a rest, we we pause, we regulate ourselves, and then we bounce back, right? And we recover. In burnout, that doesn't happen. So that's the most clear indicator that something might be wrong here. Okay. If people, and if somehow this resonates with our audience today, um, this is a clear sign that, okay, maybe I need to do something about this. If I try to rest, but I don't feel rested, I don't feel recovered after some time off, some time with my friends, some doing something that usually I like doing and it gives me joy and pleasure and satisfaction. If I start just functioning in this survival mode, actually,
Mm.
and just a robotic mode, that's a clear indication that something is wrong. So I've been also educating my clients to be attentive to these slight differences.
Audience members, if you've got any questions, of course, that you want to ask Dr. Rita, please post them in the chat box. Maissa, how does that resonate with you? Because you were saying that, you know, you're trying to be quite intentional about building in these sort of moments to go for the coffee and to take those moments of rest. Do you find that they do genuinely help? And so hopefully you're not slipping into burnout just yet.
I think it's a bit late for that. But I think that Dr. Rita really did hit home with when she said, despite, the sleep, despite doing activities that usually help decompressing, you still don't feel like you've quite bounced back. And
Mm.
that's pretty much what I feel, not just of myself, of a lot of people within my kind of like surroundings, people that I talk to. um they feel similarly, and in the same way. And I don't know whether it's also because we have to, I feel, suppress, whether it is the emotions that we have, and that in itself is taking its toll on our nervous system. So I think that sometimes allowing those emotions to kind of to be validated and to come to the surface and to call them
Mm.
out for what they are, rather than trying to push them down and trying to look the other way and trying to continue as normal. And as mothers, for example, I feel that's something that we do all the time. So that definitely rings true for me. That's something that I really do feel I'm living at this moment.
I mean, that really resonates with me as well. I mean,
Mm.
that whole feeling of just keep pushing through, just keep pushing through,
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
taking the time to actually. Well, it's almost like we don't have the time to step back and go, "How am I doing?" Dr. Heath, how important is that? I mean, for us to be able to kind of take that step back, and if we are, especially, in the Gulf as well, we have lots of high functioning professionals who work really, really hard. But how important is it just to take that time to step back and make sure there aren't any early warning signs that people are missing?
Thank you for that question, Scott, and thank you for your inputs, Maissa, because I want to go back a bit and just to use some things of that Maissa mentioned.
Mm,
I think the biggest challenge here is when we start feel and that idea of suppressed needs, right? And especially for us parents, and all of us are parents here,
mm,
especially for us as parents, because we were working from home, so still workers,
mhm,
but also working side by side with our partners. So we we were kind of not just romantic partners, but also co-workers. And I was a teacher of my kid because I need to assist them with the online schooling. I'm going to make a joke here, but I was a psychologist in my family, right? Um, I need to kind of regulate everyone, or try, or have, at least I have this internal pressure of trying to regulate everyone while I am dysregulated right now, right? So
mm,
all these sources of pressure and stress piled up in a way that makes us feel depleted, right? And that's
mhm,
the sign that, okay, this is something that I need to analyze, or at least I need to take care of this part of myself right now. Um, Something that Maisa said and really resonated with me is this idea, and especially uh, high functioning professionals, they do have this trait that they kind of believe that they need to wear this mask of resilience, right? I'm okay, I'm coping, I am pushing through. This is what is needed from me right now without any break, right? So these people are usually um, at a higher risk among the community, right?
mm,
Because they're brilliant. And for a short period of time, we need these people in the community. Okay? From a systemic perspective, we need these people to push through in the beginning. This is really useful in a family as well, at work as well. So we need these people, but as a community, as a system, we always need to pay attention to these particular individuals because they cannot stop, right? They keep pushing through without a limit, right? But they are on edge all the time. They just shut down that part, right? So yeah, they are at risk, and that comes up in many different ways and across these different settings in these people's life, right? At
mm,
home, it comes across as very, very low patience, a very short fuse, They become more reactive. At work as well, they become less sympathetic with their teams. They ask their teams to perform according to the older expectations and standards. They feel less sympathetic, which has a damaging effect in the team, for example, at work, or in the family, of course, in their relationships with their partners, kids.
I mean, you massively triggered me there as well. I mean, that whole, we're all living side by side, and trying to sometimes regulate the people as around us. I mean, right now, my wife, Christina, bless her, she always gets a shout out on the podcast. She is the one who is not afraid to express her emotions. And right now, neither is my 10-year-old daughter. And because we're all in that one space, they are often uh, having heated debates. And I feel like I'm the one trying to regulate. I'm the peacemaker, trying to just calm things down all the time. I can't, and I feel like I can't actually express my emotions because I need to try and keep these guys calm. But that does get quite tiring after a while. I'm actually going to bring our audience in here as well, rather than turn this into a personal therapy session. I'll see you afterwards, Dr. Rita. I want to bring in our first poll, if I can. What from that's resonating with you guys? I can see we've got some questions coming in as well, so thank you very much. We'll do the poll, and then I'll try and get through some of your questions. But for you right now, what is showing up for you the most right now? And a few options. And as Dr. Hita was outlining some of them, we've got choices such as low energy and fatigue, or irritability and low patience, difficulty focusing and getting things done, poor sleep or switching off, feeling responsible for everyone. That's something I'm definitely sort of struggling with, which does then roll into tension at home, or feeling flat, detached, and unmotivated. And I'm hoping the poll should show up on your screen in a moment. Dr. Hita, can you see the poll your side yet? Just yes, here we go. Perfect. So please get your votes in. Of those, I mean, look, there's 7 choices, and you could, as always, you could probably pick, an all of the above. But which do you think are the things that you're seeing most in the community that you see of those choices? I'm going to put you to the test and see if you can guess which one's going to come out top.
People are struggling the most with sleep and switching off. Makes a lot of sense. Difficulty focusing and getting things done. And then feeling flat, detached, or unmotivated. Again, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, isn't it, really? Because, I mean, for right now, actually the tension at home thing, but then maybe they've got family members in the room right now, so maybe they're not voting on. But that sense of, so poor sleep and switching off, and difficulty focusing and get things done, which I think his guess is difficult in the situation we're in right now, particularly when people are working from home. But that feeling flat, detached, and unmotivated, because a couple of our audience members, and I'll bring them in right now. I mean, Pri is asking, what are the core indicators of burnout? When do we seek help? Anuj has asked the question, how can we tell the difference between a bad week and actual burnout? And is it possible to be functioning but still deeply burnt out? And then I'll go on. Actually, Ali then asks, how does one decide whether one needs medical assistance to deal with anxiety or stress? And how does one know that they have that borderline anxiety? So I found that result of nearly like 20%, 1/5 of everyone on this call right now, our audience, are feeling flat, detached, and unmotivated. So back to our audience questions about when do we seek help? What are those core indicators of burnout?
Okay, so I'm hearing a lot of important things and interesting things. At first, I want to just address these results. They are part of the exact same thing, okay? They're just different manifestations of the same phenomenon. Of course, we are with reduced, and I think that's the core of or the common denominator among these different questions from the audience. We are in a very limited, like we are trying to push through and function with limited resources. Okay. This is a fact due to the situation. We are always with this latent anxiety in the back of our minds. And that requires energy from our bodies to process, right? So, of course, if that's always there, like that became our baseline, right? When people ask, but how do I know if this is just a bad week or if this is just anxiety or a level of anxiety or a level of difficulty that requires additional help, right? Professional help, perhaps.
Mm.
I do know that I need to seek another level of help when everything that I've tried and that usually works for me doesn't work anymore. Okay. If I feel that whatever I am feeling right now is slightly different, I've been tired, I've been exhausted before, right? We all have been there. Intense weeks of work, for example, we all have been there. But if I feel that something's different right now, I need to probably seek some help, because the more I prolong or the more I delay that step might be too risky, right? For me, people have difficulty with sleep or lying down, right? Makes sense because there is this latent sense of threat all the time. So our brains are very wise and protective, and they try to keep up to keep us alert, right? Because we need to face the threat, to face the, I don't know, the tiger in the jungle, right? It's not a tiger in the jungle, but our brains they don't know that. They read the situation as if it is. So of course my brain will keep me more awake, more alert. The sleep is not restoring enough. So I need to, and just to add some practical tools here, because I think the audience will want that too. In terms of sleep and rest, the best that we can do, and actually that's the best antidote to a very unpredictable, uncertain time, is to add predictability, to add consistency, to add certainty to my day. So maintaining my routines, wake times, bedtime routine, same time consistently, sleep hygiene, basic sleep hygiene. So all of this will promote this important piece of, I can feel the anxiety, I can feel the stress, I can feel the fear, I can feel the uncertainty, but and I try to push through it, but I need moments where I just actively, okay? Then the concerning number of, I don't recall now, and I cannot see anymore the poll, but I don't recall the words, but feeling flat or depleted,
Yeah.
that's a clear sign of this prolonged state of uncertainty and this holding in this internal pressure for too long. And this is an alert. Okay. This is a very alarming sign. When I start to feel that, I don't know, my wife tells me, I don't feel well today. And my end, oh, you just need to keep pushing through. Well, this is it. This is what it is. It is what it is. We cannot do anything to solve this situation. Another day, and I don't address that. Okay, tell me more. How are you holding up today? How was your day today? Was it difficult? Are you tired? Are you okay? Full of energy today. If I don't feel the echo of my partner's words or my friends or my colleagues at work, if I don't feel it, this is a clear sign that maybe I am working in this, I'm trying to function in this high state of alertedness for too long now. Okay. And I need to do something.
How does that resonate with you, Maissa? Because we've both got families, and you're incredibly empathetic. But how have you sort of experienced that? Like, I know that particularly in the initial days, and we've talked about this in the past. Like, I was kind of coping with life in the UE, but my wife really wasn't. And it was took me a moment to take a step back and go, yeah, we do deal with things differently. And I have to have
Mhm.
compassion for the fact that, she can't push through in the way that I maybe feel that I can push through, but maybe she's got healthier boundaries than I have. And actually, maybe I should be the one learning from her and expressing my emotions more. What's your experience been of the last 7 weeks?
So it's different in the sense that I don't have a partner, so it's a
Mm,
single household. But I feel a lot of the times I've had to carry the weight of, being the calm person, the composed person, trying to see logic, trying to say, let's
yeah,
push through.
yeah.
And then there are instances where I feel that my nervous system is kind of a little bit frazzled. My way of decompressing is, and I think to some degree, my children have also managed to sense the boundaries, is when I do make myself a little less accessible. So I need to go into my room, I need to close the door, I need to read a book, I need to go for a walk. It's me drawing a boundary, me trying to kind of fill my cup, so to speak. And it's something that I've had to. I mean, even yesterday, I felt bad because I didn't get the chance to see my daughter as much because it was a
Mm,
very full day. And then I had an obligation, a commitment after work. But then I came back. She was already asleep, gave her a kiss on the head. And I thought, you know what? But don't feel bad about this. This is you
mm,
being able to do something for yourself. Um, but it is challenging, especially when different people have different ways of coping and different ways. And we still always have to be very empathetic and understanding that we can't measure people by our means, and it's
mhm.
it's it's only fair to try to see it and understand how they deal and how they cope. And I've noticed that with some of my friends as well.
Yeah.
you know um, some of them feel that they would rather not talk about challenges that they're facing at home. They're high
Mm,
function professionals, they have a lot on their plates, they are mothers, and then they choose to do 101 things at the same time. I can only be there for them should they want to vent or
mhm.
express, but then I respect that that's maybe their way. Um, but yeah, it's clearly trying to show and express your needs and your boundaries, be it verbal or nonverbal. Yeah.
I love that. And actually, I'm going to just ask Ali's question as well, Dr. Hita here. Ali's asked, I have a family of four, and I'm sure many people on the call on the webinar today might really resonate with this. I have a family of four, and my wife, mother live with me as well. How can I support them under these circumstances? But Maissa, I thought you made a really good point there as well about that almost feeling guilty, and almost feeling guilty to take a break because you know people around you are asking you for support. Dr. Hita, if people are feeling guilty about saying no or guilty about taking that break, what would you want them to understand about how important those boundaries are?
So what I was hearing while listening to Mesa was we are always in a role, right? It's one is this idea that I am in a role overload because I'm there for everyone, but how do I take care of myself while doing that? There's this clear type of boundary that we should have in mind, which is the role boundary. Okay. Because now we lost kind of a buffering because we don't commute to work. Uh, so we don't have that space in the day where I just change my suits, right? We don't have that. We need to be constantly functioning. This idea that, well, but I slightly withdraw from being a mom right now. My kids get it. And I go to my room to read, to meditate, to just or to go for a walk. This idea of I might need some time, the main point is how do I communicate that to others? So There is a difference between I need my space, and this is me setting a boundary, a clear one, a respectful one, because I want to be there for you the best way possible. So I need to remove myself now for 30 minutes. Or I am withdrawing without any words, okay, without any framing. And this is a key difference in families, particularly, or any relationship, actually. This is a key element of difference between, from the other perspective, I feel abandoned by you. I feel that you don't care about me, or I can see you are taking care of yourself. And that is, I respect that. I appreciate that. I like that you are modeling that to me, mom, right? As a kid, I will like to see that from you, mom. Or as a friend or as a colleague. This is so important to be clearly communicated. That's the difference. But yes, we do have some guilt, especially moms, I'm going to say, when we set these boundaries. And I think what is maybe the secret for us to reduce a bit of our guilt is if a boundary is framed in terms of control or as if it is a rule, probably we do see resistance from the other side, right? From the others. We do see some pushback even. But if I frame, and even with myself, right? I feel guilty. I should perform at this level right now. I should be there for my kids all the time. I should be this composed, calm person. And because I feel that I'm failing to those standards, the guilt comes up. The thing is, if I frame the boundary not as a controlling measure, but as my capacity, I can say, okay, I don't have enough capacity to deal with this right now. Later. Can we come back to this later? And I can do this at work. I can do this at home, right? With my partner, with my kids. Or I understand internally, I understand that now I need to reduce the load because I am carrying too much. So I need to reduce the load. So whenever I set an internal boundary to myself saying, okay, I need to stop working right now, or I need to take a break. This is, and sometimes guilt comes up and says, no, you should be doing it. You should be productive. You cannot be, you are so unmotivated right now. You are lazy. You are, right? Guilt does all these things. And if I frame it as, no, for me to keep performing, to keep pushing through, I need now a break. I need now a different task. I need something else. Or I just need to slow down.
I find that fascinating as well because I mean, you say that the communication often, or from my perspective, I think you almost again, whether it be that guilt or whether it be something else, you are, sometimes I almost feel like you don't want to be dramatic, so you will try and remove yourself from a situation without actually clearly going, oh, what do you know what I need half an hour. I just need some peace and quiet. Honestly, I'm struggling a bit right now, and I don't have the emotional bandwidth for this. But rather than do that, there is the, do you know what? I might go for a walk, but I might not say why I'm going for a walk, or that kind of thing. Whereas what you're saying is actually how that's then interpreted on the other side is, oh, that individual is abandoning me, maybe. So that missing piece being the communication.
That's definitely true. What I see the most in my clients, the couples that I work with or individuals, is that piece of clear communication that changes everything. Sometimes I use this this word from today, like what if I treat my life sometimes as an Instagram page, and I have a picture or a video or whatever, what I'm doing, and I add a caption. right? And sometimes adding that caption in real life saying, I'm not turning away from you right now. I just need a moment to calm myself down and then get back to you. This is absolutely amazing when people can do this in relationships. This is key. When I have this in my mind that I can add a caption or add a subtitle to my behavior, to my words, what I meant was da, 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 da. What I really wanted to say is this. When we do that, things change.
Oh, wow. I mean, that feels like a bit of a mic drop moment, but we've still got plenty of time left. That's quite powerful there, I think. I'm going to ask the second poll right now, and then we perhaps get into some more audience questions. And also, I think Maissa and I think we can reflect on that as well. But for you audience members, help over the next 7 days. What do you think would help you most over the next 7 days? And would that be a plan to rebuild energy, better sleep, and switch off habits? I feel that one might again figure highly. Tools to reduce irritability and tension at home, and I think we can stay with that after this. And boundaries with guilt, staying productive without burning out, support for parenting worries and family load. That probably resonates with you, Ali. Thank you for your question earlier. Or support for leading a team under strain. Is it that work thing there? So please get your votes in. I mean that Maissa, I mean you open that question about boundaries without guilt. What was your reaction to what Dr. Rita was saying there?
For me, it's a work in progress. But
Yeah.
but I do want to kind of extrapolate that further, and that
Yeah.
was when she was talking about communicating.
Yeah.
Because I do feel so strongly that in the age that we all find ourselves in, we have a really, really we are fumbling through communication. We have lost touch with the art of communicating.
Mm.
Um, because people have different bandwidths when it comes to communicating. People have filters. People are talking but not really listening. And that goes true to when you're trying to lay out boundaries, because you do have to add the context to the boundary. I feel in a very healthy situation, you wouldn't need to add much context. But in most situations, you will find that adding the context in some way also builds a little bit on the distance and resentment. Because for me, I feel it's like you're trying to still have to validate your boundary. And then
Mm.
and I'm going to go, this is going to kind of like, this is going to go in a little bit of a convoluted whirlpool. But then that also adds to, well, why is it challenging for me to communicate? Why do I have to explain myself? Why do I have to lay out the boundary clearly? Why do I da 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 da? Da? So I think it all goes back to, how are you able to communicate and express your needs and draw your boundaries without feeling guilty that you have to do so? Sorry, my cat is in the background and is meowing away. I think he has the zoomies right now.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we can see from the poll actually, once again, better sleep and switch off habits, 37%. And I will just plug another one of our recent webinars. We did a great podcast, which you'll find on the Connect for Health channel, either on YouTube or on the podcast channels, Apple and Spotify, with Dr. Samira Kutz last week, which was all about the science. She's a neuroscientist. That was all about the science of sleep. And I know, Ijaz, you were asking about magnesium and supplements. That's a really good episode to check out because she really covers that. So perhaps go back and check that one out. Yeah, I mean, brilliant insights there. I'm going to bring in Anuj. He's asked a question here as well, which I think resonates with a lot of people. What's a healthier alternative to constant self-criticism? Dr. Heater, self-criticism. I know I'm very critical of myself. Um, So I'm in Anuj's camp. So healthier alternative to the constant self-criticism.
That's a very layered, complex question that probably needs more than 15 minutes to
Taking notes.
tackle. And actually, like, sorry, but best advice is psychotherapy should help us kind of untangling the sources, the roots of our extreme self-critical voice. Alternative, healthier ways. Well, basically, there's always simple formulas that we can use, like every day, to almost everything. Awareness on its own is not enough. One of the best things when I find myself in that place where the critical voice knocked on the door, right? When I find myself there, I acknowledge that that part is there and try to kind of debate with that. Like, oh, here you are again. Sorry, I really use this kind of approach to this in therapy, but hi, critical voice, here you are again. You tell me right now, because there is a function in that part of ourselves has a clear function. Alternative ways should be something like, instead of shh, 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 go away, I don't want you here, you don't serve me well right now, is okay, you're here. What do you really want to tell me? What are you really trying to do for me right now? And then I kind of turn up or down the volume of this voice. Okay? Sometimes I want it to be there to serve me well, for me to perform better, for me to optimize something that I need and I want to be optimized. Other times it doesn't serve me any good because it just paralyzes me, or it, okay, many consequences here possible. So I can try to regulate how much volume, how much attention I'm going to give to it, to that part of myself. But it is just a part of myself that carries a very good purpose, okay? And it's there for many possible reasons.
I hope that's helpful, Anuj, and thank you for your question and thank you for being open. Ali is also he's come on again with another question. Which is here we go. Which one is more good practice for communicating more with the child or with parents, elderly parents? So good practice for communicating with children or with elderly parents. I don't know whether they're one and the same, but yeah, I mean, right now we are in this space. I mean, I found it fascinating the other day. I was sat down having a conversation with my 10-year-old girl about the conflict, and I never thought I'd be in this position. I know there are people, particularly on the call, that maybe are worried about relatives in Lebanon, for example. So you may have had those conversations before. I just found it like, almost just like such a moment where I step back and go, I'm having a conversation with my 10-year-old girl about a situation I genuinely never thought we'd find ourselves in. So communicating with children, because you have that tendency to want to protect, but you can't shield them from everything, particularly because it's everywhere on the news, at social, even at school, and the school friends are chatting about it. So what are the best policies there?
Parents have been asking this question a lot, rightfully so, and good that people are asking. So fundamental rule is like two fundamental rules, I would say. One, we should opt for some kind of selective transparency. What do I mean with this is I want to talk transparently enough with my kids because that will meta communicate to them that, yes, I don't know it all. And please, people, parents, fathers particularly, we don't know it all. We are not experts in geopolitics from night to day, right? We are not. We don't need to explain everything and flood our kids with unnecessarily details. but we can be transparent enough considering what I have. And the other rule is, before jumping into some answers, explanations, dissertations about the conflict and whatever is happening and whatever is my understanding of what's going on, ask questions, because that is the way that I can guarantee that I meet my child wherever they are. Like, what is your level of understanding of this situation right now? And I can kind of capitalize on that. I build upon that. I will not jump in with a lot of things that probably they didn't even cross their mind, right? They didn't know. And I might find myself in that position that I give more information than what's needed.
That's fascinating. Maissa, I'm going to obviously, because you've got children of different ages as well, so I'm going to get your reaction to that. Particularly that kind of, I love that concept of actually listening and questioning, because I mean, you earlier were talking about sort of hearing but not listening. That idea that we should be, rather than jumping in with oh, everything's going to be all right and I know everything, this trying to meet them where they are.
I think I touched upon something in one of our earlier talks as well, as part of the Connect for Health. And for me, it was trying to pacify my 11-year-old at the very beginning. And it was, when there were sounds that they could hear, and it was different for my 17-year-old, different for my 11-year-old. And at the beginning, I was trying to brush her fears to one side with logical explanations. And then it, at some point, felt a bit frustrating that I found myself having to repeat because I realized that was not permeating through. And then I thought, okay, let me understand what is it that she is unable to process? And let me hear what she is worried about. And let me try to see whether I could try to meet her at her level and try to provide something that would allow her to feel a little less concerned, because it was the fact that she wasn't understanding what was happening at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yes, it's because we always come from this talk down or talk at an equal level approach. But with children, you really do need to kind of meet them at their level in a very metaphorical way, literally getting down to their level and trying to see it from their perspective. Why is it that they still feel concerned? Why is it that they still feel, nervous? That helped, because obviously we're in a situation now where she's, unnerved. But at the beginning, that was what I had to face. My elder son, of course, it was completely different. I mean, with him, it was like, excitement. And, and I was almost a case of calm down. But it's very interesting. It was completely, completely different. And also likewise with parents.
Mm.
I had to speak to my parents who are in Dubai and check in on them and make sure that, they weren't, the inflammatory news,
Yeah.
sometimes things that were shared on social media, things that, different ways people were translating and processing information that was put out in the news. And again, with the parents, it was trying to make sure that they weren't tuning into the outside noise so much.
Yeah.
And it was also a sense of meeting them where they were at, and also giving them that space to voice their concern and understanding where that was coming from. Yeah.
Yeah. A perfect opportunity as well, just to plug a couple more episodes of Connect for Health, which you'll find on Cigna Healthcare's YouTube channel. If you just literally go to YouTube and search for Connect for Health, you'll find it. We had two great episodes recently. One with Dr. Mark Samways from Free Spirit Collective, which was talking about and actually talking to children as well and children's concerns. That's a really good one. So really go and check those out, because they were fantastic. Dr. Rita, you have also been equally fantastic. as we're wrapping up, we got about 5 minutes left. Let's just talk
Mm.
about practical tools. If we're talking about stress and burnout, whether it be at home or whether it be at work, because we know what happens at work comes into the home, and what happens at home gets brought into the work. So, if we were to wrap up the advice, in a 4 minute bundle, which seems awfully harsh, um, give us some broad brushes. Where can people? What are the first changes that people can make if they are struggling with this stress?
So I'm gonna try hard to be
Mm,
concise. I would say that if I had to kind of summarize it in one sentence, is
mm,
the focus shouldn't be shouldn't be on something like how do I cope better, but how do I just reduce the load? Because the situation is here. That's real, okay? We cannot avoid it. Um, and the situation hasn't unfortunately ended. So we still need to function to survive this for at least a little longer.
mm,
So the idea is not how do I do a lot of things to make myself feel better and my family and my team and my life better. No, it's how do I reduce things? How do I reduce the load? That's the main priority. So can I make like can I have a list of pre-made decisions at work? What is the priority right now? What can wait a bit more? At home, what are the meals for the week? I can just take a 1 hour. I can use ChatGPT or Gemini to ask, give me a meal plan for the week and give me the list of groceries, right? That I need for it. That's because we are in that state that and especially when we cross that line towards burnout, we do have difficulty making small decisions even. Okay. So to avoid getting there, we can reduce decisions at our maximum, right? What can I prepare in advance? I'm going to do that. Um, and then something more relational I wanted to suggest is let's not forget that we have different histories, we have different backgrounds, we have different bodies and nervous systems. We react things in a different way. There's no right or wrong here. Okay. I cannot, with this motto of we are in this state that we need to keep pushing through, we are still humans, okay? Having a bit of compassion towards ourselves and the ones around us is so relevant right now. We are collectively living through this, okay? So we are all in the same boat. Let's offer that hand, that shoulder, that voice of comfort for the others. When someone comes to me and say, today I'm so tired, or let's just hear that for a bit. Okay. In families, it is very important that we don't want to strive for perfect communication right now, or even within a team at work. We don't need to achieve that. We need to be good enough. Okay, we just need to try to be there for the other one and in a good enough level. And how do I know if this is good enough or not? I can use the metrics of my standards, and then I can ask myself, okay, if I just slow down 10%.
That sounds like a really good mic drop moment. And time has come to an end. So, Dr. Rita, thank you very, very much for joining us today. Great insights. To our audience, as always, thank you for your questions. Thank you for being such an engaged audience as well. I hope that you found some of that advice helpful. When the session ends, you will be asked for feedback. Please give it to us because we do consider feedback a gift. It helps us shape future episodes. And to answer Usher's question, yes, this recording will be available online soon. It'll be on the YouTube channel and on the podcast next week. Usually it takes about a week. So keep it tuned out on that. And while you're waiting for that to drop, go back and check some previous episodes. So Dr. Rita, one more time, thank you. Maissa, as always, fabulous to get your insights. And thank you all for joining us on Connect for Health. And please stay safe and be good.